In Wales, something remarkable is happening. The Welsh are finding their voice and demanding to be heard.
People will look at the UK around them. They look at Brexit and the fact that they have to choose between eating and heating. They look at the constitutional crisis in Northern Ireland, in Scotland.
Let us give thanks to the Lord our God.
And they think, why couldn't Wales be better than this? Surely Wales can be better than this.
They were promised a better Britain. But after years of political upheaval, the people here have had enough.
Westminster is a shit show at the moment. If anyone out there thinks Westminster's doing a great job, they must work in Westminster.
They should all be sacked. And all of us should take over. There isn't no Great Britain anymore. It's just sad. Sad Britain.
As discontent grows, a centuries-old union could be at risk of unravelling. This was an argument once settled with bloodshed. Here at Harlech Castle in the 15th century, Owain Glyndwr, the last native-born Prince of Wales, led a revolt against the English. He was defeated in the end, but those hopes for an independent Wales haven't died, and now a new independence movement is gaining ground. Does Wales really have what it takes to leave the UK and go it alone?
We are going to stay here until we have a free Wales. All nations have the right to self-determination.
On a chilly Saturday morning in Wrexham, a working-class city near the English border, Adam Phillips, a staunch nationalist, is braving the cold.
My earliest memories is my mother telling me that the Prince of England isn't our prince. We'd see them on telly and she'd say, they're not your royal family. I was taught from a very early age my own history, whereas my friends in school, they'd be like, who cares? Hello, Smai Pablo, everyone. Cambria Band ydyn ni. We're the Cambria Band. Then mynd I chwarae tunes Cymraeg. We're going to play some Welsh tunes and we're going to march around the area. So we hope that you enjoy our set. I would describe myself as an amateur historian. I'm a band leader. I run Cambria Band. I'm also a radio DJ. I do 10 hours worth of bilingual radio. So my job, I see in my own mind, is to promote Wales to the world wherever possible.
By playing Welsh songs and carrying Welsh flags, he's hoping to remind people who they are and where they are.
I always felt our history has had inequality, our language has had inequality, our people have had inequality. We're the original people that were on this island. We feel very Celtic, we feel very in with, you know, the Scots and the Irish and the Cornish. It's important that we're not just assimilated.
Adam didn't always express his nationalism with a drum. He used to walk the streets with a loudspeaker, preaching about Welsh history and his hopes for a sovereign state.
They probably thought I was a nutter. You know, they probably thought I was right out there. What is this guy doing?
Support for independence has never been the majority view in Wales, but polls show that sentiment is shifting. Some surveys suggest up to 30% of the population wants out of the UK. Last year, thousands demonstrated at independence rallies across Wales.
For Adam, it was proof that his views were no longer fringe, but becoming mainstream.
Filled me with a sense of pride, really, to be in the middle of something that's seen as positive. You're not crazy anymore. You're just out there with, I wouldn't say the majority, but with a large swathe and a growing swathe of people that feel the same.
Get some banners out. Might need a third person then. Go, yeah, if you go up there, Mike.
One of the forces behind the rallies is Yes Cymru, a grassroots organisation with branches across Wales. 27-year-old Kieran Thomas is one of its leaders in Wrexham.
Yeah, so just hoping to get some beeps, some thumbs up, people passing by. Sometimes people walk up and ask questions, but it's just to be seen, really, and to show that the movement's in Wrexham. That's the idea. There we go. Started already.
It's not exactly scientific, but judging by their car horn survey, they think they're on the right track.
They see the Conservatives in Westminster, who've been in power there for 13 years now, criminalising protests, cutting benefits, and they think, this isn't the future I want, this is not what I'm voting for, and me and my family and my children and my grandchildren will be better off if Wales could choose its own path and could choose a better future.
Kieran says for generations, people have grown up with the belief that Wales is too weak to leave the Union.
People are going to have those questions, though, aren't they, about how an independent Wales could support itself? What do you tell them?
I'm really excited when we get asked these questions and when we have to think about the future. A lot of people have been sort of drip-fed the fact that Wales is too small or too poor to be independent. We're blessed with water and wind, and we're the 5th largest net exporter of electricity in the world at the moment. But obviously a lot of that we don't see the benefits of, we don't see the profits from.
After a day of campaigning, we're off to the pub.
And this is what, a Welsh-speaking pub, is it?
Yeah, it's a Welsh language centre, but you don't have to speak Welsh to go into the pub, so you'll be all right.
That's just as well.
The Saith Serens become one of the favourite watering holes for Wrexham's younger indie crowd. Tonight, the pub is celebrating Welsh Language Music Day. I figure it's a perfect chance for me to be brave and try out some of my Welsh.
Hello. Gai dau gwrw os gwelwch yn dda. What do I want, Kieran?
Wrexham.
I'm stumped. Wrexham. Diolch. How'd I go there?
Yeah.
Centuries of assimilationist practices by the English pushed the Welsh language, known as Cymraeg, towards extinction.
Diolch.
But in recent years, there's been a major push to preserve it,
Cheers, Iechyd da.
Iechyd da.
with a national goal to have 1 million Welsh speakers by 2050.
I think it's worth remembering that there was previously a lot of persecution around the Welsh language as well. I mean, you look at the Welsh Knot, and that was a system where if you were caught speaking Welsh in school, you'd have this knot, and then if you had the knot at the end of the day, then you would get beaten. So I think that is like another aspect that in our history that did happen, and I think that played a part in sort of wiping the language out a bit as well.
Kieran's friend Becca Martin is standing at the next UK general election representing Plaid Cymru, a pro-independence party. Like Kieran, Becca didn't grow up speaking Welsh. They're now learning and hoping to become fluent. But they say language shouldn't deter people from joining the cause.
You don't have to speak Welsh. If you're interested in independence and you call Wales your home, you are welcome. And I think it's really important that people understand that.
This is Snowdonia in the country's northwest. These hills and valleys have long been a haven for the Welsh language and for the independence movement. Dafydd Iwan is a Welsh language folk singer and a national icon. He's put his retirement plans on hold. 40 years after it was written, his song McElhenney has become an anthem for the national football team and a soundtrack for the new push for independence.
Hanes o bobl yn sefyll I fyny dros I hawliau. Mae McElhenney felly wedi dod yn I ymgorffori'r syniad yna.
This is what was once Capel in the Tryweryn Valley, a place that is critical in Welsh modern history.
Tryweryn ddim yn lle cynnes, dwi'n yn lle hapus. Dwi ddim yn lle mae rhywun yn gyfforddus yn y fe, oherwydd yr holl gysylltiadau bellach.
Beneath these waters lies the remains of a village that was drowned in 1965 to secure a water supply, not for Wales, but for England. At the time, Dafydd was living in the town next door.
Dwi'n cofio, o'n i'n y bala yn yr ysgol yn gweld y paratoadau ar gyfer boddi'r cwm. A dwi'n cofio pobl oedd yn byw yma. Ac mae'r holl beth yn drist.
No lives were lost, but there was an almighty fight. Despite fierce opposition, the Welsh-speaking village was flooded because politicians in Westminster held all the power.
Beth oedden ni'n gweld ar y pryd oedd methiant llwyr I rwystro rhywbeth yr oedd pobl Cymru bron I gyd yn I erbyn.
That sense of injustice propelled Dafydd into politics and activism. In the 1970s, he went to prison after defacing road signs written in English as part of a campaign to protect the Welsh language. Today, while still a source of outrage, Tryweryn's taken on a different sort of significance for Dafydd.
Oedden ni yn teimlo bod Tryweryn yn symbol o'n gwendid ni ar y pryd, ond bellach dwi'n gweld Tryweryn fel symbol o'r newid sydd wedi digwydd.
The drowning of Capel helped put Wales on the path to self-governance. In 1997, the Welsh held a referendum on devolution, whether Westminster should transfer some legislative powers to Wales. By the slimmest of margins, people voted yes for more autonomy.
The people of Wales have shown that they can believe in themselves.
2 years later, the Welsh Assembly, today known as the Senedd, was born. While it now controls many key areas of Welsh life, including health, education and agriculture, for the most part, Westminster still holds the purse strings. For Wales to truly thrive, Dafydd insists it needs a clean break.
Ac wedi dod o fel awr i'r alwad syml am annibyniaeth. Yr rhyddid, dyna diystir. Rhyddid I benderfynu sut dyn ni yn rheoli yn gwlad yn hunain. Dyn ni mewn lle llawer iawn gwell, ac o leia mae gennym ni rai o'r arfer sydd I hangen I reoli adnoddau Cymru yn y dyfodol. Dyn ni mewn lle llawer iawn gwell nawr, bod gennym ni'r digon o broblemau ar ôl.
One of the biggest issues Wales is grappling with is poverty. Child poverty is the worst of all the UK nations. The figures are 1 in 3. Many people here were already under pressure following a decade of austerity, but throw in economic shocks like Brexit, COVID and soaring inflation. Many people here are struggling to survive.
In the county of Flintshire, you can see that struggle on the streets. Areas like this used to get EU funding to help tackle disadvantage. Even still, the people here, like the majority of Wales, voted to leave the European Union. But promises of a brighter, more prosperous Britain haven't materialised, and that's fuelling disillusionment with Westminster. Every Monday, Lynn Thwaite, along with hundreds of other people, gather at St Peter's Church for a hot meal.
Can I just have 2 potatoes and some of that, please?
Today, she's here with her 2-year-old grandson, Elliot.
Is it hot? Love it. We're in poverty. I've never been in poverty, and it's awful that you have to come to a place like this to get yourself a bit of luxury. Yesterday, we were all out in blankets yesterday. Instead of putting the gas on, just hand to mouth, really, isn't it?
You know, friends, I think the hardest commandment in the gospel is do not worry about tomorrow. How's your month been, I wonder?
At 28 years old, Father Dominic Cordell is the youngest priest in the church in Wales. He says while there's always been poverty in this area, things are getting worse.
We're seeing people who have never had to access support like this before. People who are perhaps in work and are struggling. You know, we have a lot of people that come who are also working. It's not that, you know, people aren't trying. A lot of the folk here are trying very hard to do well, and so there's a sense of shame and failure for a lot of people that come, I think.
Oh, thank you very much, they're a godsend.
Is this something that you ever thought you would be relying on?
No, I really didn't. No. It's just, like I say, most weeks, it's embarrassing. But now it's just a way of life now, isn't it?
Concern over entrenched poverty has prompted the Archbishop of the Church in Wales to come out in favour of independence. Lynn doesn't know if that would fix her problems, but she says something has to change.
There isn't no Great Britain anymore. It's just sad Britain. They should all be sacked and all of us should take over.
Brexit isn't just fueling disenchantment in the towns and cities. I've come to the Eder Valley near Betws-y-Coed in the north of the country, where many farmers are bearing the brunt of a post-Brexit Wales. This valley, does everyone speak Welsh primarily?
Yes. I can go weeks sometimes without speaking any English.
They were promised they'd be better off outside the EU, and many farmers did vote to leave. But Becca Glynn voted to remain.
Dwi hyd yn gweld yn hyn yn Gymraes, a wedyn yn Gymraes Ewropeaidd fwy na Cymraes Prydeinig. Pan oedd y bleidlais, o'n i'n sicr yn gweld lot mwy o positives na negatif I aros o fewn yr Undeb Ewropeaidd.
3 years after the UK left the EU, the effects of Brexit are taking a toll on the farm she runs with her dad Glyn. They've lost unrestricted access to one of their biggest and nearest export markets.
Ia, dwi'n wedi gweld yn byd positif eto, ond enwedig yn ein wyn bach ni, sef Cymreig, mae'n fwy o fwy. Anoddach I gael marchnad unrhyw. Oedden ni efo marchnad yn Ewrop. Mae'n golygu fod y priser wyn bach yn dod lawr. Yndyn, a dyna ydy'n ein bywoliaeth ni, felly, ie, mae hwnnw achos Brexit.
Welsh farmers also rely heavily on subsidies. Support payments from the EU used to make up about 80% of their incomes. And despite promises from Westminster, the Welsh Government says by next year the sector will be more than £200 million worse off. Becca says an independent Wales is now the only answer.
Os ydym mynd yn annibynnol, wrach gawn ni y bleidlais I fynd nôl I Ewrop. I fi mae y ffordd cywir I fynd.
In the far south of Wales is Cardiff, the country's capital. While there's a Conservative government in Westminster, in the Welsh Parliament, Labour has always held power. But it's no supporter of independence. I've come to meet Vaughan Gething, the man in charge of the Welsh economy in these troubled times.
So I think independence would automatically make Wales a poorer nation. Now, some people will say that's a price well worth paying. To be independent, to be sovereign, is a price worth paying. That's exactly the argument that people who still believe in Brexit have made, that it doesn't matter because sovereignty trumps all.
Why should Wales stay in the Union? What are the benefits?
I see the Union as being something that gives us a greater sense of security. It gives us a greater sense of a call on shared resources and shared risks.
But with Scotland again agitating for independence and rumblings for the reunification of Ireland, the Welsh Government is preparing for the potential of a shifting political landscape. So it's created an independent commission, co-chaired by Professor Laura McAllister, to help map out the future for Wales. It's already found the status quo isn't working.
I guess you could conclude that Welsh people are thinking, well, why couldn't we do it better ourselves with more powers? There's a greater sense of Welsh identity more generally, especially amongst younger people. So if you put all of that together, it's quite a kind of potent cocktail, really.
The Commission has also found independence is a viable option that should now be more closely considered.
Clearly our economy is poorer than big chunks of the rest of the United Kingdom. Now, there's an argument to say that that's been based on governmental decisions over the centuries as much as it has of any intrinsic weakness within the Welsh economy. But ultimately, the choice of becoming independent is one that people could take anywhere in the world, any nation could take, as long as they're aware of implications.
Welsh Labour says staying in the Union, but with increased Welsh power, should be the priority.
There's still an overwhelming majority in favour of Wales staying within the Union. That's why we've got a commission to look at a range of those options. We're going with the grain of Welsh public opinion.
Back in Wrexham, it's eerily quiet. Then, a slow rumble from behind the walls of the world's oldest international football stadium.
And welcome to the racecourse ground for this afternoon's Panorama National League clash between Wrexham and Wealdstone.
The city's once struggling football club has a new lease on life after being bought by Hollywood A-listers Reynolds and McElhenney. They've been using their star power to put Wales firmly in the spotlight.
We used to get crowds of 3,000 or 4,000 before. Now we're getting crowds of 10,000. You'll see them start singing and chanting.
They'll be singing in my head?
Yeah, I reckon they'll sing on my head at the start. They might start singing it somewhere in the middle, and then possibly at the end.
Today, Wrexham AFC is facing the English side Wealdstone, and Adam Phillips has invited me along. The atmosphere is electric, and the fans are colourful.
And Wrexham with the free kick out on the left-hand side. There! And it's in for Wrexham, Paul Mullin.
Wrexham is the third oldest football club in the world, and fans hope they'll end the season at the top of the National League. The first step to reclaiming their former glory and then onto the ultimate dream, the Premier League.
Hopefully we'll go up the season. Unfortunately, in our league, only one team gets guaranteed promotion.
The final minute, Dolby flicks it on. Into the path of James Jones, can it be 3?
With a minute on the clock, the Red Dragons drive home a third goal, defeating Wealdstone 3-1.
I think we've got Wrexham converts here. People say politics and football shouldn't mix, but football was made for politics.
As Wrexham rises from the ashes, it's clear that for many here, an old relegated football club on the up has come to symbolise a whole nation.
Independence will come. They try to basically get rid of us as a nation, as a language, as a culture, but we're still here, despite everyone and everything.